Now, did you get to graduate from high school? Did you make it through high school without getting caught up in any trouble, or did you end up hitting the halls at any point in time?
Actually, I don't know if I stopped going to school after that little rumble. They kicked me out, and I started getting home studies. So right after that, I ended up catching a case. I ended up catching an attempted murder case, and I ended up going to the halls. And I fought that for 2 years. I ended up getting a deal for 10 years.
Oh, okay. So this is while you're high school age.
Yeah, I was 16 when I caught that case.
Okay.
Around that time, I got busted in March of 2008. Around that time, there was pretty much a war going on right here in the city, you know what I mean? All of it is well documented, you know what I mean? But there was a war going on in the city, and pretty much had just jumped off the porch, so had to handle some business, and I ended up getting told on, you know what I mean? One of my co-defendants told on me. I didn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it, you know what I mean, to be honest. And just tell you a little quick story, right? So we end up doing that, whatever. They get two of my homies. Rest in peace, my homeboy Necio. He ends up keeping it solid, and he's in the county. One of them bails out. The one that bailed out is the one that told on me. So he bails out, and he lives right across the street from me, right down the block on Stepney. He lived right across the street. So I end up seeing him. I go to the homie's house. I actually got dropped off by my mom's at the homie's pad, because the homie texted me like, hey, he's here. Like, what? Yeah, he said he bailed out. Like, what? So I go over there. Long story short, we're kicking it. And we end up going to a hood meeting. As soon as I get there, one of the homies comes up to me. He's like, hey, I just got a call from the homie in there, you know? He said that homeboy is telling. He's like, hey, this is what the homie Necio pretty much told the homie that's telling me. He's like, hey, dile al Smoke que se pele vacas, cause el Wood tiró rata. It's pretty much, hey, tell Smoke to jam because Wood told. So he's telling me this, and as I'm walking up, homeboy went to go park the car. So he's telling me this, and homeboy's walking up behind me. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he's saying that homeboy's telling on you. Like, what? Homeboy walks up, so he just gets quiet. I'm like, hey, like, chill, you know what I mean? Chill. Boom. Chill for a little bit. We end up bouncing. He drops me off. I end up getting picked up a couple days later. You know what I mean?
How did that person have that information that such and such was telling?
He had a lawyer. And his lawyer pretty much told him, you know what I mean? Because homeboy, anytime you make any statements, you know what I mean? If you think you're gonna tell on someone and it's not gonna come out, like you're not all there, you know what I'm saying? Because anytime you make any statement, it's in paperwork, in black and white. So pretty much he had the black and white, and I didn't want to believe it, you know what I mean? To be honest, I didn't want to believe it. It wasn't until I got picked up and my lawyer showed me the paperwork that I was like, wow, like he really did that.
Now, did this person also get arrested and given a deal or something? Or did they never go to jail?
He never went to jail after that. He ended up getting 5 years probation, 5 years joint suspension.
Now, was he involved in the case just as much as you were, or almost as much as you were?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
How do you feel about that? Like, you end up getting 10 years almost?
Yeah.
And he ends up walking.
I was hurt, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie, I was hurt, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, to me, that individual right there, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure he's gonna watch this, you know what I mean? Like, straight up, you was like my older brother, dog, you know what I mean? Like, straight up. Like, to me, he was like my older brother. Like, my older brother was doing his thing, so he lived right across the street, so every day I woke up, like, what's up, G? Call each other side by side, you know? So, to me, it just hurt. Like, I followed him down this path. and then you gonna do that, like, it hurt. You know what I mean? No, it hurt.
Because did you take a deal?
Yeah, I took a deal.
Okay, so he never had to come to court or testify or anything.
No. He was there at court. Like, I would see him every court day. He wouldn't even look at me. But yeah, he didn't get up and testify because I ended up taking a deal.
When he was there in court, he was there in street clothes, free, or was he in custody?
Nah, he was free. Yup.
Okay. Now, did you ever get to have a conversation with him after
Nah.
you found out?
Nah.
To this day?
Till this day, yup. And you know what's crazy is that, like, the day after that they picked me up, he went and knocked on my house door. Not even knowing that they had picked me up already. Like, he thought I was still out or something. He went and knocked on my house door, and he asked my mom for my brother. He wanted to talk to my brother. I don't know for what, but he went and knocked on my mom's door, like, straight up.
Do you think he did that maybe to throw you guys off and figure out he was telling?
I think so.
Because he could say, if I was telling, why would I go to their house? You know, something, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Could have been some ulterior motives right there, you know? For real.
Okay. And what were they trying to give you in terms of a sentence, and what you ended up pleading to?
Like I said, the initial case was an attempted murder. They were trying to get me for a premeditated attempted murder, but I ended up taking a deal for 10 years after fighting it for 2 years. My first deal that they tried to give me was 39 years with 2 strikes. I'm 16 years old. They're talking about 39 years with 2 strikes. And I remember we did the math. My lawyer was like, you'll be out when you're 51. Remember, I looked at my lawyer, I looked at the DA, I'm like, man, fuck you. Like, what the fuck? Like, shove that shit up your ass, like, straight up. Like, 51? 16 years old, I'll be out when I'm 51 with 2 strikes. But then I ended up going from Supreme Court to Superior Court, or I don't know if it's the other way, but I ended up getting a new judge, a new DA, and they ended up, at first it was 12 years. They were trying to give me 12. They came with a deal of 12. It was 4 years for discharge of a firearm, 3 years, no, it was 4 years for assault with a deadly weapon, 3 years for discharge of a firearm, and 5 years for gang enhancement. But I ended up talking to my lawyer, and I told him, like, he ended up telling me, he told me, he was like, look, I'm gonna try to get them to drop the gang enhancement. And that way it only makes it to 7. So I'm like, look, what's the lowest for everything? We did the math. He's like, the lowest for the assault is 2, the lowest for the discharge, which is an enhancement, is 3, and the lowest for the gang enhancement is 5. That adds up to 10. So I'm like, well, look, if they don't want to go for the 7, then go for the 10. And next court date, I went, and he had the good news that they said yeah to the 10, but I had to sign right then and there.
And those were sentences to run consecutive to each other to make it to 10 years.
Yes.
Was there ever any talks to get any of these to run concurrent?
No, I can't say that there was.
Okay. Now, the victim in that case, did he or she ever come to court on you?
No, the victim, they did point me out at first. They pointed me out in a 6-pack, but after that, my lawyer even told me that there was like a case that he had they tried to hold him back. He was like in the airport trying to leave, you know, like he didn't cooperate with them, you know. He didn't want to cooperate with them.
Even though that person ID'd you and then end up not cooperating to a certain degree, he kind of told on you a little bit, right?
Yeah, pretty much. When he was in the hospital and they first went, he told on me, but then once the case picked up and it progressed, he didn't want no part in it.
Now, let's say he did cooperate and he did come to court. That could have been a longer sentence for you, right?
Yeah, that would have been life, to be honest, you know.
Yeah.
They had the gun, they had homeboy telling, and then with the victim there, yeah, that would have been for sure life
at least
sentence.
20.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever get to cross paths or converse with the victim in that case at some point?
No, I haven't.
If that person is watching, what would you want to say to him or her?
I would just want to say, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Although what happened, you know what I mean? How can you say it's not personal? But you know what I mean? It was just the time it was, you know what I mean? You know what time it is, you know what I mean? What comes with it, you know what I mean? And just, you know what I mean? I do apologize, you know what I mean? For whatever that's worth, you know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't want that same thing in return, you know? Now, living my family life and all that, looking at it from a different lens, you know what I mean? I wouldn't wish that on nobody, not even my worst enemy.
But some people just look at it, hey, this is part of gangbanging. We know what we signed up for. We all signed our name on that dotted line.
Yeah.
And we all know what comes with it, right?
Yes, sir.